All right, man. So you were able to get with Frank, and he got you a media kit.
Yeah, we got it. I
Oh.
wasn't able to listen extensively to the material as much as I wanted to, but still, I think I've got it just where it's going. Impressive.
So you heard all this? You heard all the songs?
I heard all the songs. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Now I'm a person. I need to let it sink. But first impressions, definitely up there. Which I'm just gonna really launch ahead. Is like what amazes me is you've got to correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got a completely new lineup. And
yeah, man, it's definitely where I was at a crossroads. You know, I had to really come up with not only the guys to be fired up, but the concept behind it, the reason behind it, and then I had to come up with a few marketing aspects to really bring it into full perspective. And doing that was one of the things. Finding the Vandekar artwork for the cover, right away people saw that and go, "Oh yeah, that's Nasty Savage," because I'm the only guy, the original member.
Yeah.
I have two new guitarists, although I've been jamming with Pete for probably 5 or 6 years doing shows with David. And David left. We acquired David Orman. And then Scotty Carino has been working with us for 4 or 5 years. And then he was gone. And we acquired Kyle and Jim Coker. We've been jamming with him just as long as Pete. So, it's a whole new platform. But when nastyronny's still there, it kind of brings it all together. And I knew I would handle what I had to handle, and I knew they would too. But I knew I had to get some other extra added gems, and one of them was the cover art with Vandekar. I reached out to Fred Dregeshin, the original mastermind of the early days of songwriting of Nasty Savage, and I wanted Fred to write a song. He lives in Turkey and had a hard time with a guitar over there or bass, so it took him longer. I was asking him to write Jeopardy Room, and he just didn't get it to us in time, so we went ahead and wrote it ourselves. We were on a timeline, and Fred sent us the song, and it was too late, so I said, you know what, let's just grab that really cool part right there out of the song, and we'll make that Invocations, and it's the intro. So it's kind of simple, but it kind of sets the tone and the pace for what's about to come with the other 9 songs. And the other thing I had to do is we had to go back to Morrisound recording, where it all began. Not only for the quality and the expertise of Jim Morris to have a chance to work with him, it was going back there. So now it's Morrisound, Vandekar, Fred. One other thing I wanted to do, because we're going to redo the Witch's Sabbath. It's never been done before. It's always been the demo. So, and that's another song that Fred wrote with me, and I wrote the lyrics. So I reached out to my good friends, Donald and John Tardy from Obituary. And when I said, dude, I'm going to do From the Wage of Mayhem, we're going to do Witch's Sabbath, brother, and I want you guys to be part of it. Donald didn't blink an eye. He said, oh, hell yeah. He goes, I'll play the drums.
I can imagine.
And I thought that he would just want to do backups or something. But he goes, I'll play the drums. He goes, we'll record it here too, and we'll do this. And I go, what about John? He goes, you're going to have to talk to John about that. So I talked to John. He agreed. And those guys are so strategic and so professional. And, I actually went over there after it was all said and done, because I was shooting a video behind the scenes of everything, interviewing everybody in the studio, behind the scenes footage. I still needed to get a good interview with the Tardy brothers, so I went over to their studio, and I was like taking notes from them on what to do in heavy metal in 2024. How smart they are.
Full circle.
Yeah, so it all came full circle because, as you know, probably in the early days, they came to my mom's house and asked for nastyronny and asked how to start a band. So And then they did the thing for us with 10,000 Ways to Die. So it's a lot of really, really special moments through the years. And I just had to reach out to them. So now there's my marketing plan to set the tone, to start the foundation of this new album. And I think that really helped us, to get over the hump, to get people to go, wow, it is Nasty Savage and Fred and Obituary maybe, but more sound, and then that cover art. So I had some positive momentum.
Awesome, awesome. Just for the viewers, can you tell us exactly again? I mean, it's always puzzled me who the artist is that did the classic Nasty Savage cover art. I mean, what's his name again?
Sure, it's Louis Vandekar.
Wow.
And Vandekar is he was a marketing guy that was an artist who friends of my family who knew him, friends of mine, and he always had these big Halloween parties and just crazy stuff. He was always in the news around Halloween time. They'd do something, and he was a recluse kind of guy, but a real Renaissance man. So I started going over there. And I said, man, I'd love for you to do an album cover painting, because he's just like really inspired by Picasso, Van Gogh, Dali. He had all these different cool art that he did, but he also did a lot of sculpture.
Dali, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and then he did a lot of sculptures with concrete, and that's where we took the photos of the abstract reality on the back. We were on his roof with the gargoyle in the back. So I wanted to bring that back, and we did that too for this album. It's on the back of the album. We're standing with the gargoyle again that we did on the back cover of Abstract Reality. And actually, I took pictures of all these statues, and they're inside the album cover. They're inside the sleeve of the lyrics sheets. And so I wanted to bring it all together, not only with his art, with painting, but his sculptures and just stuff that puts us all inside the Jeopardy room, or maybe in a nightmare, or just, the thought process of this conceptual kind of record that we're creating.
Oh, amazing. But just to get back to my point earlier, you have a complete new lineup. Now, how does the Savage sound translate to a complete new lineup? Now, you would think if you were like the guitarist, whatever, you could sort of explain the riffs need to be like this or like that, or did your new cohorts just sort of fall into place?
Well, we played some shows together. Like I said, some of the guys have been with me for 4 or 5 years. They feel the Nasty Savage. They're fans of Nasty Savage. Okay, so they respected Nasty Savage. So we were on a timeline. When Dave left and Scott was gone, some people said, oh, and Ron will never do another album. Man, that's just never going to happen, guys. And I said, you know what? It's going to happen. And I got with Frank, and Frank was over at my house because we ride Harleys together. He's got a house down here in Florida by the beach over in Cape Coral. Where's it at? Just south, Cape Coral. He's got a house down there, and he lives in Germany. That's a German record label. But he's a big fan of Nasty Savage. He signed my friend Siren and Oblivion, and they're Brandon boys. And I said, just come over to my house, spend the night, and then we'll ride from here. We'll go out riding. And I take him all around the back roads of Florida. Anyway, I cooked him a big breakfast. I said, man, we need to just do a Nasty Savage album, I didn't want to shop around to all these labels and take the time and production costs. And, time is money. So I just said, let's just do it, man. He goes, yeah. So we rode for about 300 miles that day, and we stopped at a Beef O'Brady's for lunch. And that's when I figured it all out with him, and we made a deal. So I was able to tell my guys, dude, we're going to do an album. It's going to happen. It's like, hell yeah. So these guys were excited. I told them, though, first I said, look, don't worry about the past, Nasty Savage. It's the past. This is a new platform. It's a new era. It's a new, it's 2024, man. Okay. Let's move forward. Let's make it bigger, faster, stronger, whatever you guys feel. That's what I want. I'm counting on you. I'm not the musician. I'm going to let you guys write this stuff. I'm going to give you some titles, and I want you to really think about this stuff. And I'm going to talk to them about this concept or that. I just said, I want some real heavy chops, and I want, maybe some stuff we've never did before. But I totally left it up to them. So then I'd give Dave Arman a title like Brainwasher. And I said, dude, I got this song, Brainwasher. And he'd blah, blah, blah. And he'd go, I got you. And then he'd start sending me music of the whole song. And I go, I love it. I love it. And then he'd say, okay, this is where you're going to sing here and this. And he'd help me out with that because when they wrote it, he kind of structured it that way. And I just loved everything he gave me. So I'm talking to Pete, and I said, Pete, I've got a song for you because Pete's more of a shredder, and they're a lot like Ben and Dave. They complement each other very well. And you know, if you're a guitarist, you're going to play guitar. If you're going to be a nasty savage, you're gonna get that vibe, man, because I'm gonna give it to you, and I'm gonna let you run with the ball. So anyway, I said, Pete, I got this title, Schizoid Platform. I just need something really schizoid, you know, kind of like psycho, but schizoid platform. And then he comes up with this thing and he goes, yeah, there's a slow part of the beginning where you could kind of talk or, you know, do something crazy. I go, oh man. And you know, then my mind started working on what I had to do to back up what they gave me. And each song was like that. And I just give them, with Dave Orman, I said, Dave, I got this song it was going to be called Apocalypto. It's going to be about like the Mayans and the Aztecs and how they prayed for to the sun gods,
Which
just
is
so
now
their crops.
Yeah.
Yes, so their crops would grow. And I said, I'm going to call it Aztec Elegance. And I want some slow, eerie intro guitar, maybe like a Spanish guitar thing. He's like, Spanish guitar, what are you talking about? I go, well, you know, and then he did research and watched that movie Apocalypto, and he almost like was acting like he was writing the score for the movie, and he presented that to me, and I just loved it. And so then once I get the script, as you will, the music, then I write my script into the music, and I get that feeling. It was a really fun time for me because Dave lives in Alabama. So, you know, he's sending me on Messenger and I'm looking at the video of him. He's saying, stop, sing, you know, okay. And that's how I told him to do. I said, listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to say, start, stop. And that's where I'm going to fill in my stuff. Chorus, boom, boom. And it helps me get the feeling. I listened to it hundreds of times. In the meantime, I've got titles and I write them down on all pages and pages of notes and phrases and rhymes, because you got to rhyme, man. If you're writing music, it's got to rhyme, but it's got to be cool. It's got to be heavy. For me, it's my poetic reasoning, you know, what I do. So anyway, there was Aztec Elegance, and we just started refining it. And same thing with every song. Dave wrote 4, Pete wrote 4. You know, Pete wrote Jeopardy Room. He wrote Operation Annihilate. He wrote Sainted Devil. And then David wrote Blood Syndicate, Southern Fried Homicide, a title I always love that title.
You have to tell us what it's about.
Well, I mean, I wish I knew what it was about, man. It's like, is it my brain, Southern Fried? Everybody thinks, oh, Southern. All right, so it's a bunch of rednecks, pickup trucks, chewing tobacco, and Confederate flags. You know, rednecks, South, Southern. It could be that, but Southern Fried. It could be frying chicken, man, frying some Wiener Schnitzel or something. You know, it could be Southern Fried Homicide, and then Homicide comes in. Oh, homicide, that's pretty much murder, killing. I
also thought it was like KKK stuff.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. It's just mind theory thoughts that, like, Southern Fried Homicide. I can't believe they had to die. Southern Fried Homicide. Her disguise, icy eyes, higher desire, fever believer, sadism is the art of the teacher. What am I talking about? It's just thought processes. Someone died. Oh my God, I can't believe they died. Oh, it was homicide. I'm reading the paper. Maybe it's that, you know, maybe I'm the killer. Maybe it's nothing to do with murder. You know, it's just whatever you want it to be. It's just cool words that rhyme. And then I made a story around it.
I love the fact that it's interpretable, and I think what's so unique, and that this is something that'll always be Nasty Savage. I think I love your vocal phrasing. That's what makes the the sound so unique. It's you have this really unique way of phrasing and delivering the vocal performance. It's like I don't. There is nobody out there that does that. You know, it's just totally unique.
Yeah, and thank you, but it's like the rhythm will set you free. In the song "Schizoid Platform," I'm saying the rhythm will set you free. And it will, because that's what it does to me. And when I get the rhythms and the feeling, then I throw the words in. So it's really like spoken word uh, philosophy or poetry, spoken word poetry with the heavy music and the thought. I want people to catch the phrase. I want them to, when I say, fathers to the grave have gone, in Blood Syndicate, our fathers to the grave have gone. That's a heavy line, man. We're talking about our fathers who have passed away, and I'm giving tribute to our fathers. Our fathers to the grave have gone. Something like that. Or over in Southern Fried Homicide, it's joy and sorrow, today and tomorrow. What greater crime than the loss of time? I mean, that's a heavy statement, man. I'm talking about don't waste your time, people. It's joy and sorrow we live with, but to waste your time is the worst crime of all. Get off your ass, go out and do it.
That's actually a famous quote, I think. There is no bigger crime than the waste of time. Something like that. Not in those words, but yeah. Definitely.
Well, I'm into philosophy and poetry and poetic and really rhymes. People say, "Oh, nastyronny, he raps." It's like rapping, but it's rhyming, but it's suggestive. Yeah. It's suggestive quotes, and the way I do it, I want to be clear so people can hear it. But it's all about the music that really drives it, because the rhythm will set you free.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that having been said, I mean, I'm a person, I need an album to really sink in over several listens. But one thing's for sure for me, just the I think I had a day now where I spun it a couple of times. It definitely is Savage, totally. What strikes me as a bit of something new is there are more contemplative moments, like really dark intros. So it's gotten darker in a way. I think you have that. Obviously, Witches Sabbath starts quite dark. Southern Fried Homicide starts quite dark. You have a lot of acoustic intros.
Yeah, I love that thing in that chant in there with and then that guitar of David's. David's such a talented writer, man. He's a talented guitarist, and God dang, man, they had to fill some big shoes. I mean, here we're stepping in the shoes that David Austin had, and his creative genius of his songwriting with David Austin, and that's the only guy I ever really wrote with for all these years. And then it was Ben Meyer and everybody else and the different bass players. But to fill those shoes of David Austin alone, man, it was a challenge. I was not scared, but I was intimidated, or I had anxiety when I was about to do my vocals, because I did my vocals in 1 day and a half. We were really tight on budgets and time. We went in there and made it all happen. So here we go. They go and do the drums. Jim gets his drums done in a day or so, in 2 days maybe. Tweak the drums, get the good drum sound, which is an amazing drum sound. Then we do the bass, then we do the rhythm guitars, and they're just moving right along. It's lead day. They do their leads, and then what's next? The vocals. And the whole time, I've never practiced. The whole time, I never practiced with the band. We never really practiced all together a lot at all. I didn't sing one note with the band. So I didn't do anything until I got into the studio. I'm just jamming down in my own home, putting words together. Right at the last minute, I was changing some lines around. And, to get in the studio and do that, of course, we had to come up with feeling. Like I said, the rhythm will set you free, but the whole feel, I think sometimes, and I started doing research of all these different bands, and I was listening to even Stone Temple Pilots or Alice in Chains, just listening to different singers other than just death metal singers. Or my inspirations of always is Judas Priest, Old Priest, Sad Wings, Rockarola, Scorpions. I love Lonesome Crow album, one of my favorites. Bon Scott, Ronnie Van Zant from Leonard Skinner, and The Doors, Jim Morrison, but also Bob Marley, somebody like that that's singing about freedom and his people and have some joy and love. Because so anyway, it was time for me to do my vocals, man. And I'm like, damn, it's my time. I had anxiety. Like, I'm just going to wake up today. I'm going to go to the studio and do vocals for the first time in 20 years. Reality came in strong. And I had a vision of what I wanted to do. And the main thing, I just wanted to go along with the rhythm, to go along with the grooves and to feel that, because I was feeling it 1,000 times. I heard it, but now I really had to do it. And yes, some of it's darker, I would say, but I think some of it has more feeling than ever before for me. I think I got more involved in this recording than any other recording I've ever done. I've recorded in all 3 studios of Morris Sound. Not many people have done that. And but a lot of times we had big budgets and we took a lot of time. So I wouldn't even go into the studio for the drum tracks as they're boring, or the bass tracks as they're boring. I'm not the engineer or the producer. I let those guys handle that to get those good sound. But so, then I'd come in for my vocals and maybe the leads, and that was it. But this time I was there every second, just taking it all in and really watching Jim Morris work. And he's like the 6th member of the band. He's the 6th finger, man, because I mean, yeah, because he would just say, hey, I got an idea for this, check this out. And I told the guys, I said, look, when we're working with Jim, don't interrupt him, let him do his work. Ask a question after he's done doing something, because he's going nuts here. Guy's working 13 hours, 14 hours a day on a board, frying his brain out, and just giving us 110% with quality and always the best that he possibly could do. And here I'm watching this guy and I'm going, man, we're so fortunate to be working in here, because he's the 6th member as an engineer, as a producer along with us. He just turned a typical recording into a masterful recording on his scale. And we'll put this album up against any other album and you could hear clearly everything. And in the short time we did it, I think that was also another reason why it has impact of not a lot of frills. It's straightforward. It's real. You hear everything. And I think that because of that reason, it's an easier concept to actually take in and listen to again and again.
Yeah, I must say, there's probably not a single Morrison recording that I'm aware of that I'm disappointed about or of. But I mean, someone like Jim must be so happy when you guys opt for Morrison again after so many years. How's the feeling there? Is there reciprocity? Is he sort of like still into the music, or?
Well, that's a good question, because when we did Psycho Psycho, we went to another studio called the Red Room, and it was some reason we went there. And it was Mark Prater, who's a good drummer in the area and a good engineer as well. But I don't know why we didn't go to Morris Sound. We had a big budget. This guy paid us a bunch of money to do this album, and that's why we got back together. And after that, we kind of disbanded again until we started reemerging. So when I said, hell, Frank, we're going to do it at Morris Sound, I got with Jim, and it was so odd that just a week before I initially met with Jim Morris at the studio to talk about our project, Oliver came in from Keep It True to America with his wife, Lillian, and Ed Aborn from Siren set up this special night to go to Morris Sound and have a talk with Jim Morris for about an hour or so. And Ben from Crimson Glory was there. And the guy who plays with Doro, the guitarist, Bill was there. And there was a couple other people, just a few people. And we had a beautiful conversation and shot the shit about our history. And he told stories about Savatage and Crimson Glory and Savage, and because we're all recorded there. So, and then like the next week, I was going back there with my guys to introduce them to Jim to talk to about the project that we want to do. Because I said, Jim, if we're going to do this, I want the guys to meet you. I want them to get it in their mind that they're going to work with you and what's going to happen and how you operate. And Jim, our drummer, already worked with him before with a couple of projects, I think Brutality Records and a few other things. But man, this was 2024. It was Nasty Savage. I wanted to get their minds totally dialed in to the guy that you're about to work with, because he's like the sixth member. So Jim was really excited to have us again, and he did almost anything he could to make sure we did this project there, because he believed in from the past to now, and he knows how much of an impact Nasty Savage had on the future at the time of their studio, because once we recorded there, the floodgates opened up, and like Destruction, Sepultura, Agent Steel, I mean, and Creator, and just a bunch of bands started coming in and recording there. And then Scott Burns, who was actually our assistant, who was just changing the tapes and getting coffee, turned into this, you know, to an iconic producer of death metal. So I think we carried that first flag. The second wave of people who used to watch Nasty Savage when they were kids and young, they were grabbing guitars and drumsticks, and they became musicians. Absolutely. And so what are they going to do? There was, I would say Black Sabbath and Venom. Then Venom are the two black metal bands, death metal starting, then Possessed happened. And then all of a sudden, here we are in the swamps and the beaches in Florida, and people are going, who the hell is that? And you had New York with Anthrax, and you had California with Exodus and Slayer, Metallica, and those bands. So now we started creating this thing with Nasty Savage. And the second wave of those guys who were watching us in the 80s, now into the 90s, created bands like Morbid Angel, Deicide, Death, stuff like that. And these are guys who used to be up front at our shows. So what were they going to do? The same thing as us? No, they took it to another level, man. And I'm proud of that.
But I can hear the ingredients. I can hear it. I can see where they got influence,
Excuse me. Oh, man. Well, that's what happened. So it all started around Morrisound recording. People were coming from all over to record with them. But there was a reason. The reason is because it's an outstanding place with outstanding people. And quality, there's no excuse for quality. Like you can hear a song or a record and go, oh man, the production kind of sucks. I can't hear this. I can't. But with Morrisound, we're just lucky that no one's going to say that the production sucks. They could say, oh, the music sucks, the singer sucks, whatever they want to say, but you can't argue when it's good production. So that gets you right over the hump. You're like, wow, production's good.
That's what I was
so that's a very important standard to have good production. Absolutely. And be able to hear everything. Like, I really love the sound of the drums. And when you can hear the snare drum, so important. And then you build everything from that. But there's a part in Southern Fried Homicide, right before the vocals come in for the first time, it's that kick drum, boom, boom. And it just sounds like you're just inside the drum. And you don't even realize it, because then the vocals come right in. But it's just little things like that, man. And
it's quite hard. It is really quite hard-hitting. I mean, when I first heard Brainwasher, and just that riding double bass, I was just like, whoa, here we go. I mean, you sent me the clip with Jim working his thing. I was just like, holy shit, here we go.
Yeah, and it's got that killer rhythm. It almost sounds like something Exodus in the old days would do. It's so cool. But like I was talking to Jim, and I said, Jim, in Witches Sabbath, I want to get an organ, like a funeral sound. I want to add it to the song. I want to add it. He goes, okay. He pulls that out. Then I go, we got this with Fred's intro. What are we going to do with that? And he goes, oh, I got this. And even in Witches Sabbath, when it goes, take it and reveal. And he's got this thing that is, it's just crazy shit. Yeah. And I just go, I love it, man. Yeah, let's do that. I love it. So that's why you go to a place like Morrisound. It might cost a little extra, but it's worth every penny. And if Jim Morris ever leaves, it's not going to be the same. So what you better get it while it's good, because he's just amazing to work with, and he's such a funny guy. He's a great guitarist. But I noticed one thing he's just enthralled in his work, and he knows we're on a timeline and the clock's ticking. So he's always working, working, working. No, not a lot of small talk, not a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
Once in a while he'll take a break here and there. But in the old days, he would go through my lyrics and just ask me questions. He goes, "What the hell? What is that?" I'd never heard that shit before. And then he'd be saying it like little phrases throughout the day. This time, there was none of that, and I thought I had some of my best lyrics ever. I go, Jim's gonna really get off on this. And he was. He was just okay. We're punching in here. We're punching in there until we were all done, and then we talked about it a little bit. But that's the thing I noticed that. And as soon as we're out of there, he's on to another project. It could be ballroom dancing or whatever, and he'll make that happen. He's just unbelievable. I can't say enough about the staff, and mostly Jim and his brother Tom too. But Tom's not doing as much as Jim anymore. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's our key to success, is through those doors of Morris Sound Recording Studio.
Absolutely. No, I'm 100% behind you there.
Yeah.
What amazes me is that I don't see so many bands producing there anymore, really, unless something's missed my radar. But I mean, the heyday was really the 90s, and obviously you guys are going back. I don't know where Crimson Dory released a single a couple of months ago. I don't know where they recorded that, but it's good. Basically, long story short, it's good to see that you guys are going back to Morris Sound. And now it's probably it is the third incarnation of Morris Sound, I believe. It's not the
Yeah.
original. Yeah. So
But one reason probably is because of Pro Tools now. Everybody can record in their own house, in their garage, and they can spend a lot more time on a project. What happens when you spend a lot more time? You just put too much mud, and it gets muddy or it gets cloudy, and just too much shit. Too many a guitar with 12 overdubs. You just tell that just doesn't sound real. I wanted a raw sound, but when you have plenty of time, you better have someone who knows how to work those controls to give you a great sound, and an engineer who really knows. And sometimes musicians know how to play their instruments and this and that, and then delve a little bit here and there. But I wouldn't go anywhere else, because we started to record when David was still in the band, a couple of songs in a studio, and it just wasn't anything we thought it would be. And and that's why it never happened. We never finished the project. So to work with it's always important to work with a good engineer. And I think a lot of guys and people do stuff at their own studios in their own homes, and that's fine. But I wanted to do it back in Morrisound because of all the reasons we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
All right.
We left off with Morris Sound. Like I said earlier, I'm not aware of a single bad recording they did, and I have numerous of their recordings and albums in my collection here. Always good. And it's always good to see bands going back to proper producers. I wish a lot of more modern bands would actually work with producers. I think it's legitimate that even if you're tracking at home or with your own DAW, but to still have it mixed and engineered properly, always consulting the engineer, that it can work. But I mean, did you guys actually go in and the classic way and just lay down scratch tracks? And yeah, you must have.
Well, no, actually, we went in, and Jim did his drum tracks first, so the rhythm guitar would play along with him to get him through the song. Each song he played along with him, and then well, yeah, I guess that's a scratch track there, but not recorded wise. It was just really just for Jim's timing for the drums
as a guide.
Yeah, and then after that, it was time to lay the rhythms to the drum tracks, because the timing has to be all right too. And Jim doesn't play with a click track. A lot of drummers are precise click track drummers. so everything's going to be on time. And sometimes without doing that, when you get to the end of the production, you start having a lot of problems because things don't match up properly. And it's a lot of extra work. And Curtis played like that too. He didn't play to a click track. So Jim might have started off at this point, but then by the end of the song, it was up here. So it's like it changed. And that when you want to punch in things later on, that is so terrible. So Jim Morris, he had to make sure everything sounded good from the get-go, so it would be easier to work with later on. And that's another thing a good engineer will do. And bands that don't do that, that's their prerogative. But a record company's the same. But I was just concerned about each song having its own identity. And like some bands you could put on track 4 and then go to track 8 and go back to 1, and they all kind of sound the same. I mean, as far as what they're writing or maybe what the production was.
Yeah, but I think
so
it's largely because of everything being to the grid. Exactly. And that it takes away that sort of human error just a little bit. That it's that tiny human error that makes it. I guess if Slayer recorded Rain and Blood to a click, it wouldn't have had that sort of unhinged feeling.
I mean, they might have. Those Dave Lombardo is a hell of a drummer. So it's just a matter of, I guess people would say, musicianship. If you're a good musician, you got to do this or that or proper, blah, blah, blah. But however you got to make the soup and the sauce, that's how you do it. And as long as it tastes good at the end when you put it on the spaghetti or you're making the soup, whatever it is, that project, it all has to coincide and be work for everybody. With the wrong ingredients, it could be a wrong ending. So we're just fortunate that we created these songs, and each one kind of has their own identity, and they don't all sound the same. They're all different short stories to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Ronny, tell us. I think I might have seen something. Are there any German shows planned?
Well, we have Keep It True, and that's coming up in just a few weeks away, man. It's getting closer and closer. And that's 1st of October right there. I think it's the 4th. We're playing on the Friday night. Actually, Crimson Glory is going to be playing on Sunday or on Saturday night.
Just for Nasty Savage and Crimson Glory alone, I can't make it work-wise. I'm so pissed.
Oh, you can't make it?
No, I can't make it. It's too far away, and it's work-wise, I won't be able to do it. I'm glad you're getting that show. And but is there anything else up the pipeline?
As of right now, no. But I'm sure once the record comes out and gets some hype, that we'll be booked on some of these festivals. And we really don't have booking agents, or we don't have a management. So I might have to really look into really taking that next step. To really get a little bit more dialed into what we really need to do. We only have a show after Germany. We have one show in Tampa, the first one we're playing in a thing called Swarm Fest. It's a battle festival here at the Brass Mug. And then in March, we're playing at Hell's Heroes in Texas, which is a really big show. We're excited about that. And we're working on a few other ones, but nothing's for sure yet.
Yeah,
we just came back from Brooklyn 1 week last weekend. The weekend before that. Yeah, the weekend before that it was San Antonio, Texas, and then a couple of weeks before that we were in Columbia. So we just did like 3 or 4 shows, and it's been exciting because when you travel, you meet the fans, you see people, they see you, younger crowds. Some of them might have never heard of us, don't have our records, and all of a sudden, bam! It's in their face. This road show of like Barnum and Bailey in their face, man, burning images in their brains, larger than life. And we're competing with these other bands on the bill, and we come on the stage. We got to take care of business, man. We got to make these people walk out of there going, "Damn, that was crazy shit!" And the music was powerful, man. I'm gonna go check these guys out. So it's always I love to play for the people and have a chance to talk to the people as well.
Ronny, can you say how long will you be in Germany around that date, that Keep It True date? Can you tell?
Not long at all, man. We'll come in Friday.
It's in and out, really.
No, we'll come in Thursday. We'll play Friday, and we'll be on the plane on Saturday. So we'll miss
Okay.
Saturday night.
Okay.
It's unfortunate because
Yeah.
we really would have loved to stay because they're releasing the album, and Frank from the record company is going to have a booth, a vending booth, and they're going to have the records there, and we're going to be meeting and greeting and signing and just selling records and trying to get the word out. And unfortunately, we'll be flying back on Saturday.
Well, look, if you come back, we need to definitely chat about getting you in on some club shows. Really, I think you need to hit the grassroots here.
Yeah, man, and if anybody's listening out there and you're a promoter or know a promoter, or go get Mama from the kitchen, man. Maybe Mama knows. Send them our way. You know how to get in touch with me, and we're always easy to work with, negotiate with,
Yeah.
and to take care of business with, and we'll never let you down when Nasty Savage comes to your town and meet your people and enjoy your beautiful country.
I think it's always the thing is, if you're here, it always works best to do. The thing is, I've got quite good ties to a club here nearby, and they've had bands like Sodom and like the big Flotsam and Jetsam, those bands. And but I think it's always better if you guys are in Germany anyway, and you have a few days, to sort of juggle with, and you can say, okay, if you're in Berlin, then we can get you over to near Hanover here on that day. So just for logistics and costs, then it really
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's harder because one promoter will bring us over for the show, and then with plane flights and stuff, they already booked us to go right back. So it just takes a lot more planning and networking. And not to say it can't be done. That's why we should probably work with a booking agency because they'll book that kind of stuff. But usually they fly us over and pay for the flights. So they're getting us in and getting us out. They're giving us hotels and transportation. So now if we start doing more shows, oh, well, you're going to have to get your own transportation and your hotels. And it's just a lot more work and negotiation. But not to say it can't happen, but we've thought about stuff like that. Like we did it when we played in Holland. We played the Holland show a couple of months ago, and we were able to do one show in Belgium. It was kind of with the same promoter, but it helped out. It was cool that we got to play two shows.
But I see that maybe Frank can help you there from the label. I see Holger Geinitz is actually his partner. I'm familiar with Holger, not that I know him personally, but I'm familiar with him. Maybe they can guide you there. That once you guys hit these shores again, that you can just, Holland, like.
Man, it makes a lot of sense because there's so many good. The Europeans are, they're just very smart metal fans. They're educated to the bands, and they're loyal, and they
stuff, and they're very. I think German metalheads, especially Swiss. But I'm not to down any other European countries for that matter, or worldwide. But they are very conscious of their early favorites from the 80s and stuff. And there's a lot of youngsters really latching on big time. And I think you need to expose your material to those people.
Well, and that's another reason I really wanted Obituary a part of this because, that 10,000 Ways to Die video had probably almost 7 million views. So how many of those people never even heard of Nasty Savage? And now here's Obituary giving us total respect. So, I think we can break down so many stereotypes of people going, man, I want to check these guys out. It's old school metal, and Obituary likes them. So, hell, let's give it a try. And the more we play in front of younger crowds and people, they get educated to what the 80s brought, what it was like to be in the 80s. And maybe they're not standing like statues on stage the whole time going, da, 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 da. And that's cool. But when we come on stage, it's a lot more than that. It's like, boom, like, hell yes, man. I'm going to give you something you're not going to forget. And
I tell you what, that's what I miss. I miss bands that are active on stage and not just the static. Oh, I've seen it to death and beyond. No, really. live activity. That's it.
Well, I mean, I feel like if I'm going to be on the stage, you got to make the most of it, like in the
If you're gonna stare at your shoes, then go stand
well,
at the.
some people have to play that music and they just write. They got to play and they're like, dun, 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 dun. They're so hard to play,
Yeah, okay,
and
it's
they.
technical, maybe. Yeah.
I want to do the rhythm will set you free thing, and the music is what drives me. When I hear the beginning of Gladiator, and I know it's about time, I put that mask, that mask on, whatever it is, the leather mask with the spikes, and I know I'm coming out and ready to start this whole event with Gladiator. Then it goes on from there, and each song I try to come up with different angles and gimmicks. I'm going to mess with that television the whole time. I'm trying to turn it on. I'm talking to it. I'm pushing the buttons. I'm staring into it. And I'm seeing the people watch me and they're going, this guy's, what is he? It's crazy, man. And I just take them on that ride, and it becomes time to do the thing with the flowers or the chain. And then, it's like a bullfighter, man. The bullfighter, that matador, he'll mess with the bull the whole time and entertain you all. But at the end, what happens to the bull. So the same thing with the TVs, man. It's just like I use them as a visual. It's almost like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. When the movie starts, he introduces the characters. You know who the bad guy is, the good guy is, and then there's some kind of object that the whole source of the movie is following. Where's the object? How do we get it? Where's it hidden? And that's what I want to do. I want to give people that entertainment level, but
Yeah.
but it's real because that's all I know. And when it's time to do the smashing, I love to hold it up and look into it and see myself in this in the image of the TV. And with that, I could see the crowd and the drums, and I know what I'm about to do, man. And it's so fun. It's just, and I'm trying to hone that in more and more with my live presence. As I get older, you try to refine that. How do I communicate more with the people? If I've got this platform, why don't I say a few things that are positive? Why don't I give people some thought, not only with the music of my song, but from my voice, to tell them a few things to think about when they go home, how to be better people, how we all get along because of one thing. We're here tonight. Let's celebrate, man. Let's celebrate this moment. We can't take it back, but we're all together for one reason. You know what that is? It's heavy metal, man. It brought us. It doesn't matter what you look like, what color you are, what religion. It doesn't matter. Put all that shit away because we're here. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. It doesn't matter what religion or, what political stance. Fuck all that. We're here because of metal, and it brings us all together. And it's such a cool thing, man. And it's never going to go out of style either.
I mean, I think it's still your show is still very relevant. I mean, you're smashing TVs. I think there's something symbolic in that. I mean, you should probably be smashing cell phones, but I mean, it's optically not as exciting, I guess. But like, what do you think of people actually standing in front of you and filming the entire show?
I love it. I mean, I perform. It's weird because you look out and you see 100 people or maybe 1,000 people, but the people who are right up front witnessing every moment and every move that I make, or watching the guitars drip sweat, and I'm pouring water on myself, but I'm performing for them. And that's it's almost like boxed in, where I should think more big, and I do, but the people up front, man, I could just see them getting into it. And when I bring out the flowers and I'm during the morgue, I bring flowers out and I drop them on the TV, because that's a symbolic, to me, it's very symbolic, because I do it during the morgue. I tell people, if you're not talking to your family, if there's someone you're not talking to, your mom or your dad, I said, people, we're in the fourth quarter of life, man. Joy and sorrow, today and tomorrow, a greater crime than the loss to time. Make that call, man. I said, if there's someone out there contemplating suicide that you might know, they might give you some, some hints. Reach out to them, make a call. Tell them you love them, man. Make amends, because the last place you might see them is in the morgue. And then I turn around, I put that skull mask on, the Day of the Dead Mexican skull, and I come out and start going, the fear of evil. And people are looking like, this is freaking crazy, man. It's almost like surreal. Here I am with the skull mask and the lights, and I just told him something. And then after that, I say that, I go and grab a bouquet of flowers and I start, she loves me not kind of deal, and dropping the flowers real gently as the music goes, bam, bam, da, 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 and I'm real slow movement, just dropping flower petals onto the TV. And it's symbolic to me because that's going to be my sacrificial object, and it's the television. I'm dropping flowers. Some people get that and they go, oh, he's dropping flowers, man, because he's going to sacrifice it later. But if not, they're going to still go along with the storyline. And it's just that extra emotion that you bring, like a roller coaster, man. You make them laugh, you make them cry, take them on travel and an adventure, and it's just like, that's just what I do, man. And it all comes together. And by the end of the song, I'm just taking the rose and go, oh, I'm really hitting it hard to the music. And I'm really like getting psycho. And then I take the flowers and I see where all the girls are up front. And then all of a sudden I turn around and give one to a rose to them. And they're like, oh my God, I got a rose. And then I find another one. It's the faces, the joy that it brings, man. Those are emotions that not many bands could even attempt to do because they're not in that zone mentally. They're playing their music and they're all about what they're doing. But me, I'm a showman. I mean, I have to give. I have to give, and I have to give even more. I'll even give blood, man. But it's just what I do. So
Ronnie,
I enjoy it a
I
lot.
see a lot of that, and kudos to a lot of bands. It's probably very technical and whatever, unless they got a frontman. But even some, I'm not mentioning names, but it's a lot of stuff. It's very routine. It's kind of like they just play the material and then it's done, and that's fine and well. But I do find it lacking these days that there is a certain element where you go, oh, hold on, who's playing next? Oh, it's nasty stuff. Oh, and you can sort of think, hey, I can't wait. It's that kind of the entertainment aspect. Gets lost sometimes.
Well, if you could guarantee people that, hey, come to the bull, it's a cowboy bull rodeo. If you come to this rodeo today, somebody is going to get gored to death, or they're going to get gored pretty bad with the bull horns. They're going to get devastated by the bull. It's like you're driving and here's a big ass car crash. You're going to look at it. You're going to go, wow, what the hell? And you get that feeling like, oh my gosh. So people sometimes will go there. In the old days, they used to have public hangings. So you're going to go there to see a hanging, man. You're going to go there to see a firing squad or whatever it may be. So when you come to a Nasty Savage show, they're going to think, man, I'm going to see that because that one idiot, that stupid guy, that singer's he smashes a TV or some shit like that. I've only heard about it. I've never seen it. Let's see what this shit's all about, So it's part of promotion. It's part of marketing. It's like Barnum and Bailey, the greatest show on earth. Don't miss it. Be there, but send the people home happy, like they really got to see something.
Exactly, and that's what metal used to entail. I mean, you had crazies like Ozzy. I mean, Ozzy did some really serious shit, and I mean, even people like Blackie Lawless were really,
Yeah,
out there.
Kiss.
Yes, and I think it's lacking.
Breathe.
I mean, I think the only band that sort of does something nowadays that's really like big showmanship is Rammstein, probably. The German band Rammstein.
Yeah.
It's a really crazy show, but I mean, it's obviously in a different scale. It's middle at the moment. It's like really out there, almost in the mainstream region. But Ghost, another band, and that's what I think a lot of people are craving for.
Or like King Diamond, but that's like a whole set.
Yeah.
It's a set that they bring in the backdrops and they have big elaborate lighting. We're doing it in smaller clubs, bigger clubs, but it's just what we bring on our back pretty much. And we leave it up to these promoters. Sometimes it's all just red lights, give me some lights, man, put some light on. So, we deal with it, but it's just something I've always done and I'm still refining what I do. But I mean, I might not be the greatest singer when it comes to performing and doing that because I'm doing other things, but I try to put it all together there's nothing wrong with the bands that can sing and produce like they did on exactly on their albums and play so great and wear their spandex, still and do their thing with their hair and never even sweat, but
there's like fans.
No, yeah, we're just a different breed, and my guys know to watch out and be careful for the swinging chains. The TV set sometimes will bounce like a football. It goes different directions, and so you just always have to be on point and be aware. And they just roll with it. They think it's funny because they see the impact after we're done what people tell them, and that's the coolest thing to me. I don't have to say, oh man, anything. I let the fans tell my guys what they just witnessed, and it builds up their confidence playing in the right band at the right time right now. So it's really impactful in many ways, and it's just. And then I'm just that calm, cool, collected guy when I'm on and off stage. It's to be a showman. You got to be real, but you can't go heaven because you'll just burn out real quick. You got to be real.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Just a sec. I thought I was getting a note here. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Ronny, what I would like to do is I want to let the album sink in a bit more. I will do a review, definitely. I don't understand these channels that the album's out and a day later they do a review. It's like kind of that puzzles me a little bit. I don't do that. So I would definitely like to do that.
And that's cool because everybody's a little different, and some are on a bigger timeline. They got to produce. They got under pressure from their assignment. They got to do it quick, and
I'm not. But I don't subscribe to that. So, but what I'll definitely include underneath the video is the link to Keep It True. The date I don't have in my head now, but I'll include that as well. I'll also plug that on my Instagram. Yeah, it's a pity. I hope you guys can revisit Europe soon. I hope you will hit my vicinity because I would actually love to come and see you. I'm here about an hour from Hanover, so hopefully something materializes in the near future.
How close are you to Belgium?
Oh no, that's quite a distance.
Yeah, we might have something coming up there.
Yeah,
but all the media, all the press that we're getting right now, it just if you push out that brainwasher, let people hear that. You can put the link if you have that the media kit. You go ahead and post that as well. Did they send you that, the media kit, the text and all that?
I've got everything. I'll put that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and if you can return the favor and then post it on your social.
Oh, for sure. As soon as we get it, I'll do that, man. But it's just good working with real people who appreciate metal and have devoted so much time and effort to what you do. And you guys are what it's all about, man. Helping so many bands do what they do, and I definitely respect that a lot. And I'm always available for you, anything you need. And I really just appreciate everything, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. And let's stay in touch anyway. We decided that last time already. I will also keep my eyes peeled in terms of promoters and that kind of stuff, and I'll always fill you in on the links.
Yeah, man, and we're in contact now because we're on Messenger, so it's so easy to contact. And I love how you followed through right when I said, "Hey, try to do this." And Frank, and he followed up too. It just shows that we're hungry and want to work with the media's outlets out there. So you asking for what you needed, he got it to you, and here we are talking now. You're going to do a review. You got to hear the record, and people will read your review, and it might help get more people to notice it, to click it, to buy it, whatever. It's what it's all about. It's like the old school way I used to do in the 80s, man, licking stamps, shaking hands, and kissing babies, just trying to get votes like a politician. And one thing I did do this time is as soon as I got those videos that I showed you in the studio, I picked out about 20 different OGs from the 80s and people who I've always been in contact or big fans. And I got it to them because I wanted to hear their feedback. I had anxiety about what were people going to think without David or without Ben, and first record in 20 years without Curtis or Richard. I was on an island almost. So I really wanted to hear, and every single person was going, dude, people are going to be very surprised with this, and it's brutal, it's killer. I never heard one negative feedback from these people, and that helped me get more generated to take on the next step of marketing and promotion, and not being afraid to just push it and talk about it, because
Uh,
it could have
no,
been it could have been the other way around.
no holds barred. But I must admit, I must say, David has really posted a lot of positive stuff for you guys. It's
Oh,
that's recommendable.
yeah, and it was such class. And David is
That is class.
probably. I gave him the album right after it was done. I said, "Here, we met in the car, and because I heard his DNA stuff that he's working on, it sounds
Oh,
really
I'd
good.
love to hear that. Love to hear
Yeah,
it.
it's just killer with Jason McMaster and Scotty's
Oh,
on that, and
amazing.
Greg Gall's the drummer. But he's doing his own thing with his own budget, so he's at it on his own time. He's not pushing it, but we heard that, and then I sent him all the songs, and man, he would call me up and go, dude, he goes,
Is
this
this
is killer, man. He goes, I
great?
just
Is
he
this
goes, I
great?
just heard 3 new records from 3 different metal bands kind of in our situation here on the East Coast that recorded. He goes, this blows away all of them with the production alone,
Yeah.
just the production. And he'll call me. He'll go, dude, I just listened to it again. It's like, so he's been so
It's
supportive,
amazing.
and he wants to do a whole review himself too. And it's just really glad that for me it was a big change not to work with David Austin, and because if anybody I was close to is Dave for all these years. And but sometimes relationships you got to move on. They say, what's your favorite record, what's your favorite song, what about your band? You kind of love them all equally, and like your children, you love them all equally, and you can't change that. So all you can change is the relationships in the future and to move on, because looking in the rearview mirror, that's behind you, man. You got to look through the front door, through the front window. And when you get into the Jeopardy room, whatever that means to you, it could be the pressures of everyday life, like we talked about. But when you open one door and all of a sudden it's a schizoid platform, you close that door, open up another one, it's Operation Annihilate, and you walk into that door, and then you're in the Mayans things with Aztec elegance, and then you're in the Jeopardy room again, and then you go through that door, and now all of a sudden it's the sainted devil, and so like all these emotions that will hit you when you listen to this record, and that's what I'm proud of too, man. I think everyone has their own identity, and when you listen to the Six Finger, they're just jamming down, that bass thing pops in. It's just cool, man. And it's like it's so many different feelings of Nasty Savage and Jeopardy Room, and I'm really proud of that. And Brainwasher, they all just flow, and the way they're put down, like one after another. Blood Syndicate, it's just it's a whole platform of an offering of a body of work. And I just hope that people enjoy it and open your mind from the inside. Check it out, and help us spread the wage of mayhem, man. We have to do it.
I have no doubt, Ronnie. From the bit that I've listened, like I said, I'll leave the rest up to my review. But what I hear is definitely what you are accustomed to from Nasty Savage. Plus, there is a new aspect has come in there. There are new elements, obviously. And it would have been a surprise if it was just the same from the past. We're obviously, like you said, living in 2024, and I think we have a new, fresh version of the Savage. So I'll leave it at that.
That's cool. One question I want to ask you, and it's just between us.
Yeah.
And if you were to give it a 1 to 10, where are you thinking right now, maybe? And just your real feeling, not because I'm here, but I just try to get a gauge from people I've been talking to, and I ask them that question just to see what they say.
I'm sitting now spontaneously at an 8, and that might
Yeah,
increase. That might increase.
Yeah, that's good. And that's pretty much, people are saying 8, 8.5, like, so that's good.
I
9,
think
we got a 9. That's good because that's real positive. And it's always good to hear that feedback, because when I tell the guys, they just like that, and I send them every review we get so they can feel it and see where we're at too.
But Ronnie,
But
if you recall our earlier interview, I mean, you can't recall everything. You talk to a lot of people. I don't expect you to have that sort of, like a memory like an elephant. But way back then, when I first heard Penetration Point, I was just kind of, I didn't know what to do with it. Honestly, I didn't know what to do with it. I was so into indulgence, and I just thought, what is this? What is this? And nowadays, it's one of the albums I spin the most. Penetration, I spin indulgence a lot. I spin abstract reality a lot. And as I get older, I spin them more and more. It's like
that's cool.
you guys and Watchtower are some of the bands that I've noticed I'm spinning more and more and more and more as I go older. It's amazing. So
Yeah. What about Psycho
that
Psycho? Did you get that one?
also, I've got that one. Now, also,
Yeah.
I was just mentioning a few now, but
Yeah.
obviously your entire discography, there's nothing there that disappoints me personally, nothing. But
And that's why it was so important.
yeah, I just wanted to let you know that this stuff
Yeah.
grows. You know?
Yeah, man. And this one will probably grow more and more, but that's why it was important to me, because I know where we've been, but I know what we're going to have to do now to offer to live up to the past. You can only live up to it or think about it. You can't change it. So now we have this new body of work in 2024, and it was so important to get good production and all that to really give the true fans something that they could have faith in and respect, but also bring in all new fans that they would like and interpret into their deal. So
Yes.
it's a weird time, man. It really is, and it's like I said, it was very kind of scary, and at the same time, I was for sure that it was going to be fine, but it's just like a step by step happened, and different chapters of this new record. And by the time it was done and we're sitting there in the studio listening to it, I'm going, damn, we really accomplished something. And that's the greatest thing, man, to accomplish something that you really want to do in life. And, you
And
know, it's just a very good accomplishment.
it's the most rewarding thing, I think, in my mind, having the musical ideas and then putting it down and then being able to perform it. And I mean, what greater satisfaction can there be? For me
Yeah,
personally.
and then have people appreciate it, and really, some of these people really dive in deep, and they really go into each song and describe what they're thinking and how they're feeling and how it relates. And
Yeah.
it's so intriguing how someone else will take your product and then put it in their perspective. And that's totally fine, because that's the freedom of the press. It's the freedom of who we are. And it's really exciting. Now, you could get a keyboard warrior sometimes that just
Uh,
makes it shit. It's all shit. Everything sucks. It's bullshit. And that's okay too,
yeah,
because
but they've
he
never
has
worked,
to live with that.
but they take great pride in never having lived up to anything. So
Yeah, and I think it's like the boy who cried wolf. After a while, you go out to, like, we ride motorcycles, and we'll go to these bars and restaurants, and there's another club that does, and this one guy, he always complains about everything.
I
So
ride too.
yeah, so now Jimmy says, "Oh, that sucks." You go, "Jimmy's full of shit. I'm gonna decide myself. Fuck what Jimmy says." So those kind of people, they create their own agenda, and sometimes they get a good following for that, like the blabbermouth thing.
Yeah.
They put brainwasher on that, and there was a bunch of funny comments, and I was laughing my ass off because they were making fun of what we looked like and just all kinds of crazy shit.
How
It,
dumb are these
it was
people? I don't know how
it,
to.
it was just funny, man. So I was like, see, we're breaking down stereotypes every day of new people finding out who we are. It's okay. It's fine. You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it. It doesn't matter. So it's really great when the real people feel it. They know the history, and they were a part of this history. You guys are a part of everything we've done, and that's the blood, sweat, and tears with the fans
And
to
all
the
the others,
band.
and all the others don't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to know that when you look in the mirror, that's who we have to deal with, man. You got to be happy with that person you see in the mirror and know that you're a good person and you try to help others and give value. And because, life doesn't last forever, man. And I want to leave a legacy behind somehow in history. And I'd even like to help the third wave of metal because we did the first, the second, and now where's the third? I'm trying to like create um like a metal massacre. I've even reached out to Brian Slagle and I talked to Dan Johnson and said we need to take the next wave of Florida metal and put them on a record or something that people can start looking at and see who's going to break out next. They got to work hard for it, man. It just doesn't come to you. But that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about. How do I help the third level, the third wave coming in? I think it's a duty that I should do, or a legacy I could leave behind, and maybe I'll still do that. Maybe I'll start a podcast and start promoting and marketing and highlighting. And we have Dean Guitar here. They're sponsored by Dean Guitar. They gave us guitars. We never had guitars before. They got 2 guitars each, and the bass player got a bass from Dean Guitar. They believed in Nasty Savage. Unbelievable, man. A lot of cool things.
Ronny, they're going to cap us again. I'm going to have
All
to
right, man.
let you go. Thanks for holding the flame, carrying the torch for true metal.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, I can't thank you enough, and let's stay in touch, man. I know I kept you on a long time, but I appreciate everything.
That's fine. It's my pleasure. I really enjoyed. I could keep on talking for hours. It's unfortunately we're getting capped again, but man, I'll send you the link, and please share. And I'll definitely, hopefully, in the next week, I'll let the album sink in a bit more. I want to give it justice. I don't want to do an impromptu thing. I hate that. Which I think a lot of people do, and it's just not fair on the album or the music. And I'll share that with you too.
All right, cool, man. If you got any questions, you can text me anytime here on Messenger. If you need any more images or whatever you need, man, I'm here for you, brother.
For sure, man.
All right.
Go well.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Have a good one. Auf Wiedersehen.
Okay, thanks, man.
Bratwurst.
Okay, man. Wiener Schnitzel.
Cheers.